Mike Pachelli here. Thanks for tuning in. I'll be talking about the Beatles recording of Julia that took place on October 13th, 1968. It's the first song that John Lennon wrote when the Beatles were in India in the spring of '68, studying with the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi Bear. And two guys, Donovan and Gypsy Dave, both claimed that they taught John the finger-picking style that he used on the song, which is commonly known as Travis picking, made famous by country singer-songwriter Merle Travis, but John, of course, does his own version of it. And fun facts to know and tell, this is the only solo performance that John did on any Beatles record. About the song, John has said, "Julia was my mother, but it was sort of a combination of Yoko and my mother blended into one. All the stuff on the White Album was written in India while we were supposedly giving money to Maharishi, which we never did. We got our mantra, we sat in the mountains eating lousy vegetarian food and writing all those songs. We wrote tons of songs in India." John inherited his love of music from his mother, Julia. Julia encouraged him and bought John his first guitar in 1957. She also taught him banjo chords. But from the age of 5, John was raised by his Aunt Mimi, who wanted him to seek a proper career. When John Lennon was 17, his mother died of a skull fracture at 44 years of age on July 15, 1958. She was hit and thrown 100 feet by an off-duty policeman, 24-year-old Eric Clegg, who only had a learner's permit and should not have been driving without supervision. But he was acquitted of all charges. Clegg later became a postman and then delivered hundreds of cards and letters to Paul's house on 24th Lynn Road. John also said, "I lost her twice. Once as a 5-year-old when I was moved in with my auntie, and once again when she physically died. It was the worst thing that ever happened to me. We'd caught up so much. We could communicate. We got on. She was great." John did a number of demos and rehearsals for the song, and he even did one where he was just strumming, but of course decided on the Travis picking for the final version. So October 13th, 1968, John is at EMI Studio 2, and it's the final song that they're recording for the White Album. After much rehearsal and John not making it through the takes, he gets 3 complete takes done and deems take 3 as the best. So then he double tracks his guitar and he adds 3 tracks of vocals because some of the vocal lines overlap each other. They mixed it the next day, and man, the original is a really bassy mix. But the song was released November 25th, 1968 on the Beatles White Album. So I think that's the backstory. Let's get started. John Lennon is playing his Gibson J160E on Julia, and it's capoed at the 2nd fret. So I'm going to call the chords as they would appear in first position because I think it's just easier to understand and you'll follow along. Now what John is doing is a real close form to Travis picking. And Travis picking has a certain characteristic that Merle Travis made famous. In that it has, if you think in quarter notes, it has a bass line that goes. So if you're thinking 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it has melodies on top, like. Like that. John is doing a close version of that, but of course he puts his own spin on it. In that, instead of accenting beat 4, John accents on the and of 3. So like if you take a C chord and the first chord of the song is this C voice like this. An easy way to get John's feel is to divide it in 2 parts. And first think of the first part of it, the first 2 beats, as 1, 2, and. Now on that C chord, I'm going to get beat 1 with my thumb on the C note and my middle finger on the G. And then I'm going to use my thumb and my first finger on the E and the G. So I'm thinking 1, 2, and. Now you should take a metronome, slow speed, maybe like 100 beats a minute, and think 1, 2, 3, 4, and just play 1, 2, and like this. 3, 4. do that until the neighbors complain. Really, don't move on until you have that smoothly. Then think of beats 3 and 4. And on beats 3 and 4, what happens is you go to a G on the 6th string with your 3rd finger, play that with your thumb, and play with your middle finger on a C, and then an E with your thumb. But think 3 and 4. 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3. And that's where John accents the C, which is the end of 3. 1, 2, 2. Sometimes he barely gets that beat 4, and sometimes he doesn't play it at all. So again, take your metronome at 100 beats per minute, and just think 3 and 4. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Then you put them together. Thanks, Ringo. So it's like 1, 2, and 3 and 4. Let's do that nice and slow. Better with a metronome. 2, 3, 4. And again, accent that and of 3, which is a C note on this particular voicing. Lightly on beat 4. And that's pretty much the pattern for the entire song. You just go through the chord changes, and you're always starting on beat 1 on the A string, and beat 3 is on the E string. Which is, when you're playing the C chord, you're playing root 5th. But when you're playing other chords like the E minor, you're playing 5 root, and so on and so forth. But that may confuse you, so just work on that initial pattern nice and slow and you'll get it. And the chords you need, like for the intro, are C, like this, A minor 7th, and E minor, keeping that G on top. And you'll also need a full G like this for the intro. And then you just go through that pattern, nice and slow. I'll play it for you. Just practice maybe the first 3 chords over and over again. Let's do it with the metronomes. So. Play a G. Right? And that's the intro. So it's just. To the verse. And again, just practice it very, very slowly and you'll get it. It seems a bit overwhelming at first, but it's really not. You just have to get used to your hand making those moves, by rote. Okay, verse chords, you'll need this. You need your C again, A minor 7th. Then you'll need a G minor 7th, which looks like this, to a G minor 9. Then an A7 to an F9 and an F minor 7th. Now F minor 7th is a little daunting at first, but it's just an odd voicing, double minor 3rd, and you just go through that same finger picking until you get to the G at the end, which I'll show you is the main diversion of the Travis picking. So nice and slow, a verse is. there he diverts. On this very first G, he plays, just strums through the G, plays voice your G and play 1 and 2 and back to the C, which is verse 2. And that's pretty much what happens through the whole song. Okay. On the bridge, you'll need some new chords. You'll need a B minor, like this. And you go to the C, A minor 7th, A minor 6th, E minor 7th, E minor 6th, E minor with a raised 5, and a normal E minor. And that's the bridge. Let me do that for you nice and slow. Oh, I should note, when you get to the E minor 7th, that's where it changes. Now you're playing the, on beat 1, you're playing on the 5th string, but you're also, instead of playing on the 1st string, you're playing on the on the 2nd string for your first beat, and you stay like that. That's the only time the pattern kind of changes. It's the same pattern, it's just a different string. You'll see what I mean when I play it nice and slow for you. So here's the bridge. 1, 2. And then you're to verse 3. This is exactly the same. Charts and tabs at MikePachelli.com, which will make it so much clearer than I can explain. And the only difference is on the very ending, on verse, it's actually like verse 5, after he hums, the chord changes. The pattern stays the same, but the chord changes. So at the very end, it's like C to A minor, to E minor, to C, to E minor, to C, to E minor, to G. So that last little part is like this. 2, 3. And then the last chord is a C major 7th, and it's voiced like this, but he just strums the low 4 strings, and then plays string 2 and 1. So those are all the parts you need to play just like John Lennon on Julia. And again, charts and tabs will show it a lot clearer than probably I've explained. But I have put it together in a sound-alike, and I stay, more stringently to the Travis picking that John was attempting, because, well, I've been playing guitar for 60 years. So have a look at this.
Half of what I say is meaningless, but I say it just to reach you, Julia. Ocean child calls me, so I sing a song of love, Julia, seashell eyes, windy smile, calls me, so I sing a song of love, Julia. Her hair of floating sky is shimmering, glimmering in the sun. sing a song of love, Julia. When I cannot sing my heart, I can only speak my mind, Julia. Sleeping sand, silent cloud, touch me, so I sing a song of love, Julia. Sing a song of love for Julia, Julia, Julia.
Now you see how John Lennon got that full sound by double tracking his guitar on Julia. I recommend you practice this very slowly. When you get it up to speed, play along with my sound alike and you'll get it just like John played it. If you'd like to drop me a line, do so at MikePachelli.com, and that's where the charts and tabs for all my video lessons are available for you to download. And I appreciate your consideration in supporting me that way. So have fun playing this great old song, because that's what playing the guitar should be all about. I'm Mike Pachelli. Thanks for hanging out with me.
So I sing a song of love for Julia.